Welcome back to Kikao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are talking of seeds. And outside there, experts advise that we should go to hybrid seeds. What is hybrid seeds? What are the characteristics that we have in a hybrid seeds? What is the benefit we would have in uptaking the benefit seed, using the hybrid seeds rather than using the ordinary one?
Yeah, thank you very much. A hybrid, by definition, is a cross between two plants of the same type. And the reason why it is used is because when you cross those two plants that have different characteristics, but the scientists several years ago, actually in the 1950s, they found out that when you cross those two different types, the product from that, which is now the hybrid seed that is available to the farmer, will do better than either of the parents. And that characteristic is called the hybrid vigor. Scientists will use a bigger term, but that is what it means, which means that it will produce better than the parents. And the way that those two parents are selected, the scientists will do it in a scientific way. It's a huge, it requires good skills in science to be able to identify those and to test very many and then single out which are those two best. So that then the hybrid that comes from there is the best that will be able to produce the way it was intended to. Because by definition, the hybrid will produce more in terms of yield. It will resist the diseases the way it is done. It is meant to. It will resist the pest if that is what it is meant to be. And then it can also be adapted to the area where the farmers experience different problems in production. So it should be something that will help the farmer more than if they planted the parents alone, or if they used the seed that they traditionally grew.
Yeah, I think that is a very important thing. So in practice, it means you look for the vigor, and you are also tracing some of the traits which could adapt the plant to the conditions, agroecological zone. And here we could, now that climate change is one of the key challenges that we face, there could be some adaptation to the climate issues. For example, resistance to drought, right?
Yes.
So which could make it possible for the farmer to get more. Now, if the hybrids present so many benefits, it should be something that people go for. What is the level of adoption of hybrid on the African continent? And when you talk, I discuss with people out there, and I know it is relatively low. Why is it so low compared to the normal expectation of us who are just in other areas of scientific barriers, and saying, no, this is very good, it should be widespread, but now what is the extent of use of hybrid, and why is it relatively low?
Okay, thank you. I think before I go into that, one of the ways by which we normally explain the issue of hybrid, especially to our communities in the rural areas, is we ask them, are they aware that if they have chicken, for example, you have the cock and the cockerel, and then it lays eggs and then it has the chicks. Are they aware that if you have inbreeding, because it reaches a point where you have to take a cock out, kill it, and then bring another one from outside? What Dr. Stephen was trying to talk about in terms of analogy, different parents. Are they aware that if they continue that, then they will be having what is called inbreeding, and then the poultry that finally comes out is weak, is not strong, cannot lay eggs, cannot have in terms of meat. So that's the analogy, simply put, between hybrid and the informal seed sector. But back again to your question, just like Dr. Stephen has said, this process takes time, is expensive. By the time you finish this whole cycle, you find that you need to recoup the investment you have made. So naturally, it is more expensive than this informal seed system. So if you have farmers especially who want to just do basic subsistence, normally they argue that this is expensive, and because I'm also doing it just for subsistence, why do I need to pay more? And yet this is only going to be for use at the household level. If they want to go commercial, then some of them, of course, will now see the value of buying the hybrid one, because comparatively it is expensive, but it has twin advantages. So the issue of cost is normally one that becomes a challenge, especially to farmers.
There are two things which are very, very important to be clarified. The first one is it is complex to come to the hybrid seeds.
Exactly.
So it is not something which a farmer can just undertake. That is one.
Yes.
It is a long process. So it is a bit expensive.
Yes.
So that is another thing.
Yes.
And yet, we are saying because it can't be produced on farm, the farmer needs to buy hybrid seeds every new season.
Exactly.
Now, my question, is it worth it for a farmer to buy the seeds, the hybrid seeds? Does he have a chance to get back the money and get benefits? Because if it is, I think it could be advisable to go the other direction if he can benefit more. So I don't understand exactly that what we are advising.
I think the whole idea, the reason why the world went to hybrids, and this happened, I think the first hybrids were in maize in the USA in the 1950s, it's because of the advantage that the hybrid will, in general, yield much more than 40%
Yes, 40%.
of the alternative of the conventional one.
Exactly.
And so, however much hybrids cost, and there have been very many studies that have been done in Africa, in Asia, and other places, the hybrid seed will always pay more than when you use the alternative, the conventional seed. And I think that is the whole idea, that food production, and it is believed very, very clearly that today the world is able to sustain the kind of population that we have because of the hybrid technology. Being in maize, that is the most widespread. It has been done in vegetables. It's been done even in small grain crops, sorghums and millets and others. It's because of that specific advantage of the hybrid. That here is a conventional, here is a hybrid. Even if you buy the seed every season, the farmer is better off than buying the cheaper seed or even recycling the seed which he produced, which will not give him as much.
I think that is the message that I wanted, the answer I wanted to have. Duncan said that what we lose when we use saved seeds is between 30 and 40%.
Exactly.
Now, he says you need to buy hybrid seed every season.
Yes.
And my question was, is it profitable? And Stephen here has said, whatever can be the price of the hybrid, it will still produce much more, and economically it will be more profitable because of that difference in the yield. I think what we need is to put some figures in simple ways so that the farmer can be communicated this. I don't know how much of that information is conveyed in a proper way to the farmers, because if they knew that they will gain much more by using the hybrid and buying it every season, I think they would adopt it, right?
Yes, they will. It takes time because, like, I think we are all aware that issues of bookkeeping, for example, those who have been in development for a long time, we've struggled to tell farmers, for example, the value of bookkeeping. Because if you don't keep books, you can't even know whether you are making profit or loss. And even as we speak now, although now we are talking about commercialization of agriculture, a lot of farmers still do not keep books and keep records, even though they've been told the value. So back to the question. Farmers will need to make a choice because they already have been given information through field days, for example, through demonstration, through field days.
Field days.
Exactly, field days, through fairs, through demonstrations on the value of having certified seed, of having a value of having hybrids, especially in this particular discussion, and what you're able to get in terms of harvest. But like we keep saying, it's about choice. So a farmer is either aware or not. For those who are aware, they still want to do informal seed. But like I've said, if you're doing it for home use is different from when you're doing it for commercial production. Those who are doing it for commercial production are looking at how much have I invested in terms of input, and how much am I likely to get in terms of harvest. Those ones, the message is very, very clear.
So adoption of this technology depend on the size of the farming.
Exactly.
And that because medium and big size farmers have also the knowledge, is access to technology.
Exactly.
And different technology, including information technologies, and can make decisions based on those evidences.
Exactly.
And the smallholder farmer doesn't have the same facilities. I think that is probably where the big difference is. And we know that unless we convey properly that message to the smallholder farmer, we may not transform the agricultural sector in Africa, because they constitute a huge proportion of the farming population on African continent.
And I think that is where the issue is, that Africa, the majority of the farmers are smallholders. So they need to understand what is needed, and they need to know why they should do what will make them to produce more.
Exactly.
And the issue is that if you take hybrid, you buy the hybrid seed, and you plant it this season, and then you recycle it. So you harvest the seed and you recycle it. By design of the hybrid, and because it is given that the hybrid vigor by the genetics, the genetic makeup. When you grow it, it is the way that Duncan explained about the chicken. So you are continuing to inbreed. If you inbreed a hybrid, this season, the first season, you are going to lose more than 50% of the potential yield that you would have gotten if you planted a new seed of hybrid.
Okay.
If you do it in the other crops, maybe it will be less, but for hybrid, you lose more. And that is why it is advisable and economical to go and buy new seed of the same variety, of the next season. And that way, the farmer also has advantage both by benefiting from that hybrid, and also when you make a habit of bringing in new seed, you also have a higher probability of introducing new genetics, a new variety, which has new characteristics, which is better than the previous one. Yes.
And it is also good for the soil, because the soil also gets to regenerate. Like he's saying, when you bring new traits, the soil gets to regenerate, as opposed to when you also plant the same farmer-saved seed. So it has a lot of twin benefits.
Yeah, thank you very much. So the use of hybrids not only gives you more benefit in terms of yield and the financial benefit that you can get from it, but also it gives you that shield against some of the challenges like droughts, like pests and diseases. That is one. But also it helps you maintain the properties of your soil. Now, let's take a break. And when we come, we look at that piece of information that needs to go down there and change the mindset of the smallholder farmers so that they can benefit from the use of hybrid.